Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello, everyone. I am so grateful that you decided to tune in today because I know that you want to hear some wisdom, and we've got it for you. I've got Dr. Alice Benton, psychologist, author, speaker, and mom, and Dr. Jill Hubbard, also psychologist, speaker, author, all of the things, and a mom. And longtime co-host here. Both of you have done such great work over the years, and I'm grateful for both of you. You know what? This morning, Jill, what's on your mind?
Well, I often listen to things at night, and I heard this phrase, and it caught my attention. And it was that you cannot punish the pain out of someone. Wow. And I thought that was really interesting. So I was listening to Dr. Gabor Mate, and he is a clinical psychiatrist. And so he was talking about this idea of pain and how so much is, as we know, is motivated by our pain. And he definitely is a trauma specialist and sees so much as a reaction to trauma. And I know the word trauma now is being so overused. It's like everything is trauma. Living is trauma. Living is traumatic. And you know what? It really is. And we all have our own level of trauma. And so again, the things are motivated by our pain and us trying to do something to soothe ourselves, to cope with it, and we do the best we can. So a lot of times there are addictions that come into play or acting out behavior. And he talks about that an addiction is anything we do repetitively. It can be substances, it can be behavioral, that we are doing repetitively over time that causes adverse or negative consequences, right? So we're all kind of familiar with that, but often we think about it as just substances, and it can be anything. We talk a lot now about phones, right, and how highly addictive. It can be shopping, it can be gambling, all kinds of things that we talk about. And he's saying, okay, if we take a step back, we have to ask why the pain. So where is the pain coming from, and what is the person compensating for? Now, it's easy to step back and be reflective when you're not in the line of fire of maybe someone's acting out or the negative consequences. And so this doesn't mean that we just, give all compassion, right? We want to be compassionate. And I think when we look at the pain, we can kind of tap into our compassion instead of just being reactionary. But in that being compassionate, we also don't want to compromise ourselves. And so there's this healthy balance of let's take a step back, let's not be reactive, let's have compassion for the people in our lives, even when they might be doing some terrible things, and to say, okay, what is really going on here? And then how do I not compromise myself or get sucked in to their drama, but set some clear limits as to what works for me and what doesn't, right? But also gives a thoughtful response to them.
As a parent, I see that in my child being harsh to me, and it hurts my feelings, and I'll have to set a boundary to say, that doesn't work for me for you to treat me like that. But then also be curious, what is going on inside of you that you're lashing out? You must be hurting. And when we can ask that question of our children with love and curiosity, or the people around us, not just our children, we often find out there is a hurt that's driving this disruptive behavior you're engaged in.
It's not malicious.
Not usually. Right. Not usually.
I love that, Jill. It's such great insight, too, because we all are struggling with something at some point in our life. You might be having a good day today, but there's somebody around you that might not be, and we do have to approach it with compassion. Thanks for that insight. We're going to go to the calls right after this.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Intensive is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
There were strip clubs.
My husband is a recovering sex addict.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 12th through the 14th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We do have compassion for you. That's why we answer the calls all the time. So you can call us here at the studio when we're doing a live show, or if you can't reach us here, you can call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll get you connected. But if you want to ask a question, you can go to newlife.com/radio, and we'll give you instructions on how to submit a question. But right now, we are going to go to our calls. We're going to talk with Lee, who's calling us from Boston and listens on WEZE. Hello, Lee. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi. Well, just concerned with, the holidays. Halloween's coming up within a couple of months. I know it's early.
It's very early.
July.
You're on top of things.
It's very early.
Very proactive thinking about Halloween. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah. And I've had this question asked before, and I said, well, I don't celebrate it. When the kids come around, oftentimes I'll put out tracts for them to have with their, candy snack.
Okay.
You give them candy too, Lee?
Pardon?
Do you give them candy as well?
Yeah. Sometimes I leave it on the porch and say, help yourself. Be, 3 per person limit.
So what makes you think about this now, Lee? What are you thinking? Like what, we do have a few months before it happens.
But life happens faster.
Right, it sure does.
With every year.
It sure does.
Because the retail stores often put out their retail Halloween stuff.
Yes,
and
they do.
True. August, September. And,
that's right.
I've been in the past working at one and doing some part-time stuff there.
And Halloween, the decorations, does it have a negative effect on you?
No, but I'm thankful when I had to put stuff back. Some of it's really ghoulish.
Yeah.
And I said, if these people believe this stuff, believe that, it has some special power or something, what draws them to this holiday? And no, as a young Christian, I was doing evangelism and was with somebody who was on the that particular spectrum, and I could feel the clouds just kind of start coming in and getting dark and dark.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just kind of working in Boston, there's cults out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sure. Lee, did you celebrate Halloween growing up in your family?
I think I did.
Okay.
Giving out candy.
Did you dress up in costumes?
I don't recall going out much, and if I did, it was probably Scarecrow.
Okay.
Because I was into
The Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. That's so fun.
And are you calling us because of your concern about the spiritual dark side of what some people are celebrating on Halloween?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not really some situations. I'm not really very to share my faith.
Yeah. So your concern is, how do you present the gospel in a way that it speaks through your life, and as you see this other kind of thing going on. Is that right, Lee?
Yeah, and keep myself protected from the evilness that permeates out.
Yeah.
There's Jehovah Witnesses nearby.
Well, yeah, there are influences in all over the world. We were just talking about that. The world feels crazy sometimes, that there's so much out there.
Not just on Halloween.
That's right, not just on Halloween. And so, Lee, that's really about your own spiritual growth. Joe, what would you say to encourage Lee in her own growth in that way?
Well, Lee, I would certainly say, okay, first of all, yes, some people use this holiday to dabble in darkness. And my thought is, if they're going to be more overt on this day, they're probably still covert on other days. So spiritual warfare and, realizing that there is darkness in the world is something that we really can't deny. I think it's important, though, that we be light in the darkness, that we remember that greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. And so...
Remember that, yeah.
Right? And so I like to...
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Instead of Christians just going inside and hiding in fear or in blocking it all out, I feel like we're just kind of giving it over, right, to the enemy. I like to use it as a time to connect with neighbors and people I wouldn't normally see because they actually come to my front door. So I love that you're giving them a treat and also a tract. I think if you're just putting out the tracts, then it's kind of might defeat the purpose there because they're expecting candy. So that is certainly a way to do it. I love, for little kids, it's about imagination. It's about dressing up. It's about like being the scarecrow from a movie that you love or your favorite character that you see on TV. And so for that, like encouraging imagination and fun. And I know with my kids when they were little, I didn't allow evil stuff. Now, as kids get to be about adolescence, they start getting more into the horror. I don't know what it is. I remember at that age, I was the same way. You want to see the scary stuff. And they seem to have a thicker skin for it than I certainly do today. But I really would monitor any of that. And it's like, okay, how can we have fun with this? But we're not going to be evil and we're not going to be so gory because we don't want to give credence to that. We want to be an alternative that says we're happy, we're having fun, we're smiling, we're dressing up, and we're being creative, and we're connecting with the community.
You know what I was thinking too, Lee, is maybe instead of tracts with the treats, you could do a little note, God loves you, or you are loved by God.
Oh,
God
that would be good.
Because you think about who's picking up the candy.
Yeah, the kids.
It's the kids. And we used to do a meal ministry to local schools here for kids who go without lunches. They go without food for the weekend, and they have a school lunch program. And we put in, because you couldn't do anything real religious because, it's in a public school, but we put in those messages that you are loved. God loves you. Well, kind of beyond the download, but that's the message of light. And that is the message of Jesus, is that you are loved and you have a purpose. And so, like you said, Jill, don't back off. But, at the same time, recognize that it could be an outreach.
You know what?
As well.
When I was growing up, there was a house we always wanted to go to. And we'd go to the house, they would come out with a tray, and they took caps from all their spices and different things. And they would put money underneath the caps. Right?
Ooh.
And they would, then you get to pick, and it's like, oh, I got a quarter, or I got, $1, or I got, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was so much fun. And it would, certainly, these people were so kind. I don't remember what they said, but it would certainly be a way of saying, God is generous, right? And I want to be generous with you as well.
There you go.
I heard somebody who had a ministry or saw this regular homeless person out on the street, and he wrapped a tract inside of $2.
Ah.
And so he would go in periodically see him, and he would give him the money, and then he said, "Oh, thank you," and then he said, "Oh, what's this?"
Sure.
And what I would do is, when I worked in some of the areas in Boston, I would get a gift card for Dunkin' Donuts or Burger King, McDonald's.
Right.
That way you're not really giving them money to maybe
right.
support something.
That's right. Well, we love your heart, Lee. We do love your
and
heart.
that you're thinking through this, right?
That's right. That's right. Alice?
You obviously, you go to creative means to get the gospel to the people around you. And I want to encourage you that doing it through relationship tends to be the most impactful way. So making friends, finding out how people are doing, getting to know the neighbors. I think it's daunting and intimidating, but it's the best way for us to find out really what's on the inside of people and how do they need Jesus and how can we share our story with him. Like you, Lee, I think I'm pretty aware, at least I think a lot about spiritual warfare and what the enemy is doing in the world today, since the Bible says he's prowling around and he wants to gain a foothold in our lives. So when it comes to spiritual protection, I know that the best ways for us to keep our spirituality clean and protected from the strongholds of the enemy, to make sure that we're regularly confessing, that we're in the practices that the Lord asks us to be in, so that we're in worship, we're in community, and that we pray directly against the practices and activities of the enemy, invoking Jesus' name, asking that he rebuke the enemy away from us and away from our neighborhoods. It has a spiritual effect, although we don't always get to see what it is, but it does. So staying aware and praying directly against the forces of the enemy. Keep up the good work, Lee.
That's it. We're going to send you a copy of Dr. Dave Stoops' Living Strong, Finishing Well, because I think that describes you, Lee. We always love to hear the wisdom of Steve, and we're going to go to a New Life moment right now. Terry?
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life moment. Why do phrases like once upon a time or in a land far away immediately grab our attention? Well, these phrases tell us we're about to hear a story, and stories have an amazing ability to challenge our intellects, stimulate our imaginations, and speak to our emotions. The best stories parallel our own life experiences and situations. They bridge time and space to include us in the drama. That's why the lion's share of the Bible comes to us as historical narrative, real-life stories that tell of God's great love for us and his plan to redeem us. Someone once said, no one can tell the story of the Lord without at the same time telling the story of his own life, his experience with him. The Bible does just that. That's the key to understanding it. Come and explore the implications of your story at newlife.com. I'm Steve Arterburn, and thanks for listening to this New Life moment.
I love the way that he always just, can take a topic like that. But I think what he's saying is so true. And I had heard that before. A lot of times people will read fiction and they'll be drawn into the story and into the narrative, and it really has an impact. And actually, I remember Dave Stoop talking about a report that said that when we read nonfiction or self-help or textbooks, we put our guard up. We're judging, and we're not open to what we're learning. And I just think how powerful our stories are with other people. So just like when we were talking with Lee, she had a story, and yet you can get into that fear. But think about the things that you guys have learned in all of your education, and you think, is that true? Is that really true? But then when somebody tells you a great story, you're like, wow, that is amazing that happened that way.
Well, and even when we watch movies, right, we're drawn in, and it makes us reflect on our own lives through the characters on the screen, and we're more open. How many people sit in a dark theater and cry, or how many men do that? Right? So it's powerful. Stories are powerful.
Yeah, they get to deeper places in our heart. And when we both share our own story and put ourselves in positions to listen to other people's story, it develops soul connection that's not easily built up in other ways. Stories are important.
Well, and you think about even in the Gospels, as we hear or we read about the way that Jesus taught us, everything from, a farmer is scattering seed, right? And they're like, oh, I get that because I'm a farmer, right? I mean, it was a farmer culture at that time. Everybody was growing their stuff. So they understood when you plant seed in good ground, it makes a difference. If you plant seed on ground or try to plant seed on hard ground or ground that's not receptive. And, we can make that transition into, for him who has ears, let him hear. For people who want the help, there's help available. The challenge is your soil, the soil of your heart, open and ready to receive that insight, to receive that truth? And man, we hear so many stories about people who want to offer help and their loved one is not ready to receive it. And it breaks their heart, because we know that there is hope and that there's help available. We're grateful to be able to offer it for so many years and for years to come. That's why we're here at New Life. We want to see how God is working in your life, and we know that it is possible. We've seen it so many times, and we're grateful to be standing in the gap. We're going to be right back after this break. 1-800-229-3000.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hit with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would have getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I want to start this segment off by saying thank you, Club New Life, for all you do for so many people. You are our family. Club New Life, the group of people who give on a monthly basis to help all the different parts of New Life Ministries get the word out, allow people to get the help that they need. And, many times you'll hear us say that when we're not broadcasting live, and you want to ask a question, you can do that. You can go to newlife.com/radio, and there's information there of how to submit a question. Well, for our Club New Life members, we added a benefit where you could go to the head of the line, and who doesn't love to be the first in line? And so, we just wanted to mention that because we wanted to say thank you. We also have a Club New Life Zoom coming up on July 8th, and this is a time where we gather together on Zoom platform. We hear from Steve, we hear from some other folks that are integral to the ministry, and we want to hear from you, Club New Lifers. So if you are interested in being part of the Club New Life family, please join today. You can go to newlife.com and you'll click on donate, and there will be an option for you to join Club New Life, or you can always call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Speaking of submitted questions, we have one here, and I was just telling Alice and Jill that I'm not going to tell you what it is till I read it live, so that it's just like getting a phone call. And this is from Allie. She's asking this from New Jersey, listens on Sirius XM. Her question is, how can I help my husband and our 22-year-old daughter have a closer relationship? They've not been very close since perhaps she was in middle school. he was sometimes gruff and not warm and fuzzy with her. And at the same time, she can be moody and quiet. And he didn't really talk to her a whole lot. She gets real quiet when she perceives that somebody is angry with her. And he can also give off a very angry vibe and not talk a lot. Just as a side, we adopted her when she was 3 months old. And we've been in therapy a few times talking about this as a couple and as a family, which is great, you know. She says, I'm sure I'm partly to blame because I'm a people pleaser, always trying to keep the house peaceful and shielding her from his displeasure, and probably got in the way of their relationship. Is it possible that I should have called him out for the behavior years ago? Lastly, she's really a good girl, never got in trouble for anything, graduated from college, has a full-time job, and trying to save for an apartment. How can I help them grow closer and enjoy each other more? Thank you so much. I'm anxious to hear and to play your answer to him. There you go.
It's a good question and a tough one, Allie, that you watched that difficult interaction between the two of them for so long. And I hear your regret when you say, should I have called it out years ago? It doesn't help us a whole lot to linger in what we should have done that we didn't do. But as couples and as parents, we are supposed to be iron that sharpens iron. We're supposed to speak truth and do it with grace. But for all different kinds of reasons, it was tough to do back then. You may not have done it enough. But I think the focus is more helpful in the now. What to do about it now? And are you ready to call it out? And to point out to your husband the pattern that you have been seeing, the way you think it's impacted the family, and to call him into some character work that he has probably needed for some time. So focus on what do we do now about it versus the historical regret.
Yes, I would agree with that. And at some point you can always confess that you didn't talk to him about it, about things you were seeing. And that's on you for not pointing it out, because sometimes we're not aware of how we're interacting. And I think during those years that you're talking about, kind of the junior high years, are especially a kind of a tricky transition for fathers and daughters. The fathers start to see their daughters developing, their bodies are changing, they're becoming young women, not their little girl anymore. And yet the daughter still has these little girl needs while she's growing up. And as fathers kind of pull back because they want to be maybe respectful, it's confusing to girls who are used to maybe jumping on daddy's lap or being more involved. And so, unfortunately, I think this dance transition doesn't get talked about enough. That dad wants to treat her like a young woman now, but she still needs him as her daddy. And so really nobody's fault in that way. And so this is how they chose to deal with it. Your daughter is an adult now, 22, at least chronologically. And it sounds like, for all purposes, she has done the normal milestones of growing up. I might ask each one of them, what are they wanting from their relationship with each other? And how would they like it to be different? Because are you just seeing the problem, or are they okay with where things are at? Now, granted... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go
well,
ahead,
you have a viewpoint, and you may probably be right, but get them to start thinking about how maybe they could bridge that gap. And even, you remember them when she was a lot younger and what their relationship was like. And now that she's an adult, it's nice to have dad in your corner. Right?
Well,
go ahead.
What I was going to say is that maybe, Allie, you and your husband need to do the work together, not have the daughter be the problem, and not have their relationship be the problem. Because they, like you just said, though, Jill, a lot of people are just like, the way they move about in the world is just a little bit different. And as a pleaser, Allie, you may be feeling all of this, and there may not be something to it, but the powerful connection that you could have with your husband can absolutely redeem this whole family. And I'm just going to suggest maybe you join us at Intimacy and Marriage in a couple of months, and just I just think it'll be a great next step for you guys.
Might be safer to start with the two of you.
Well, there you go. You just never know. We're grateful that you sent it in. We'll see you at Intimacy and Marriage.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, we've been around a long time, and wisdom is timeless. So we're going to hear a call with Steve, John, and Dave.
Let's jump over here to Mark from Dallas, Texas. Listens to KWRD, and we're glad he does. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for taking my call. Your advice is needed.
Well, what's going on?
Situation with my son.
Okay.
I have a freshman in high school. He's 14 years old. His mother and I went through a divorce about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's choosing to hang out with some kids at school that after we've encouraged him not to. And a couple of these kids are actually, he's smoking pot. He's very deliberate in the statement. He thinks he's deceiving us. I knew that he was. I know that he did last Thursday while he was at school. And it's just a point to where his mother and I have talked about it, and we don't know what to do. And you know, we said, well, what kind of resources have we sought in order to try to coach him out of this, or just to get him to open his eyes? And, you know, she said she hadn't seen anybody. I thought giving you guys a call to see what kind of advice you would offer, you know, because we're pretty much at our wits' end and trying to get him to see the folly of his way.
Okay. Now he's 14, right?
14-year-old freshman, right?
Doesn't drive.
That's correct.
And when does he hang out with these kids?
At school.
Okay.
So kids are smoking pot on the school grounds?
It's, see, what happened the other day was he told me that he had to be to school early to meet with a teacher. Come to find out, I dropped him off, and he left. And I have a real tight relationship with the administration and the teachers there because he has two other brothers, a senior and a sophomore there. And so I'm up there talking to them about all of my sons in regards to things, you know. And with that being said, I had an email whenever I got back home that morning at 7:30 that said, just letting you know that I won't say his name. I saw him leaving campus today with, and he named the person that I tell him that he is not to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. I said, okay, man, I'll be up there. Or I responded to the email, you know, thank you for the heads up. I'll be up there within the hour. And I CC'd his mother in the email and said, hey,
Okay, yeah, it's time to take some action.
Has this problem kind of brought you and your ex onto more solid ground with each other?
Now, we communicated fairly well. It seems like ever since everything's happened between she and I, that we've communicated fairly well. I mean, there's hiccups along the way, as there would be expected, but we communicate for the best interest of our children along the way, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess what I was thinking is maybe he's acting out as a way to kind of keep you guys communicating, or maybe he's just never really dealt with the reality of the fact that mom's not there anymore. And so he's acting out, and he's, hanging around the kids that aren't any kind of a challenge to him.
We have 50-50 custody. It's to where this kid lives close to his mother, that I want to keep him away from.
Mm-hmm.
And, so if she's gone to work and she doesn't get home till 6 o'clock and he's there at her house from 4 to 6, that's the window of opportunity for him there.
Mark, why don't you do drug testing on a random basis?
I did that on Thursday when I went to the school after I found out he left campus, and he tested positive.
Okay, so
what was the consequence for that testing positive?
See, ironically, 2 weeks prior, I was in a situation where I was like at my wit's end. I talked to some people about some things, and my older brother said, "Hey, why don't you do a contract with him?" So I set out and created a spreadsheet that allocated points to to different behaviors, and if he hit the mark on the behavior, then he received the points associated with that. So, and he was actually in a situation where there were 7 rewards that he could have. It's like anything from his iPod to his cell phone to computer time to time with friends to just various things out there, right?
Yeah.
And if he scored above a certain level, he would get like $1 a day or $2 a day or up to $3 a day if his behavior was above a certain threshold. And then, I mean, it was pretty detailed. I don't want to go into the details of that, but he come to find out after a week on that program, he said, he goes, that's too. He goes, I can't achieve that. I go, but you know what? If you want the money, just like in life, you're going to have to perform at a certain level in order to achieve that. I said, but still all along you get these 7 rewards just for scoring an 80.
Mark, let's take this in a different direction. Your kid's on drugs.
Okay.
And so I can see having kind of a token system, and I think that there's some value to those sometimes with teenagers. But your kid's on drugs, and so there's 2 things you must do. And one of those is a short-term thing. If he gets caught again, before he gets caught, you have to tell him you're going to lose everything for a while because drugs. We're a no drug family, and so I will take everything away from you for a long time.
He's got it. We've been there. We're there as we speak. We're there right now.
All right. And secondly, so good. You got the short-term thing dealt with. Secondly, if it doesn't stop, I will take it to a counselor. But the other thing is today, to replace those bad kids he's around, I want you to require him to be around good kids. Dave mentioned he's not driving, which is good. I want you to find a healthy youth group in a church where the kids are cool and they love God and there's a good youth pastor, counselor, mentor around them. I want you to say there's kids that are off limits from now on. You can't be around them as much as you can control that with 50-50 custody.
I hate to say these things. We're in a youth group. His older brother sings in the praise band. He's in the youth group. He's locked in. The youth pastor knows us.
All right.
So I'm just at a loss.
Sure. Okay, here you go. Let me suggest this strategy and see if this might help you, okay?
Okay.
You sit down with him and say, man, we are getting nowhere with people you're hanging out with and you testing positive and lying, okay? You say, now, you're 14, and a lot of your friends are going to be getting a driver's license at 16.
Right.
Now, you're not. We're not going to let you drive a death machine until we know that you are responsible, that you have character, that you're not under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So right now, you are failing your driving test. Okay, so that's a benefit that one day you will not experience when your other friends are. Now, if that doesn't mean anything to you, I want you to understand we're changing course here in what we've done with you. We're going to continue to try to modify your behavior. We're going to give you consequences, and we're going to hope that finally it's going to make a difference. We've got 90 more days of consequences to see if it makes a difference. Now, if our instituting consequences doesn't make a difference in your life, in 90 days we're sending you to a place where they will have consequences, where they will work with you, where you will be more restricted. You'll be out. You won't be dealing with these friends anymore because you'll be in a different state.
That's where I want to know. I mean, where could I send him?
Well, we'll
Because
help
that's
you.
the point that I'm at now.
Well, we'll help you find a place. There are many, many options. But I just, I have, from the beginning with my daughter when she was 10, we started talking about cash prizes and benefits and driving and all, and you either meet it or not. And then if you mess up, we're going to do some consequences. And if that doesn't help, you have to go someplace where they've got different consequences in a different setting that may make a difference. And I just think it's hard to lose that way. You want to love him, you want to help him understand, but you got to get him off drugs at 14.
That's the only thing.
So where are these places? Is there a way that I could write you or send you an email so you could send me the different locations that I could send him? Because that's the point that I'm at now.
Just hold on.
We can do it off the air.
We'll do it because we're going to put you through to 1-800-NEW-LIFE because they deal with this all the time.
We've been giving wisdom for over 35 years. And what Dave and John and Steve shared with this dad who was feeling like he was getting nowhere is timeless. We have partner treatment centers across the country for all age groups that, if you are feeling like you're getting nowhere with your adolescent son or daughter, we can connect you with help. Or perhaps it's even in your adult connections, whether it's your family, friend, and you've tried everything and you just can't find an answer. You may need more help. And it can feel overwhelming to even ask for that help. Well, we've been doing this a long time, and sometimes the hardest phone call to make is that first one, just to get curious about what are the options, what is out there. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we'll get you connected with, whether it's a treatment center, could be a therapist, could be a group, but that phone call could make all the difference in your life and in your family's life. And we're grateful to be able to do this for so long and for so many people. The stories we have heard about how God has changed people's lives because they made that phone call. It's really overwhelming. We're grateful to be able to continue to do this for the next 35 years. Who knows? We'll be right back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability. ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a new life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are in the middle. We wanted to talk to Jean so much that we took a break before we got to her. Jean, we're glad you called. How can we help you today?
If you're on mute or something, Jean, check that out. We can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Yay. We are determined to talk to you, Jean. It's going to happen. How can we help you?
Okay, I was just talking away. So I'll start over. I'm in a blended family as a childless mother. I'm 42 years old, and my husband has 2 teenage kids. He's pretty lax with his kids. He's not a bad father, but he's really lenient, and his teenage son does not show me respect. He's violated my dignity and privacy on many occasions, and when I took issue with it on one occasion, it was like pulling teeth, but I got my husband to make him apologize for violating my privacy in a serious way. And the apology
what was that?
very
Jean, what was the violation, if you want to share?
He was a peeping Tom during a moment when I asked for privacy. But there wasn't privacy available. We were in the middle of the woods in the mountains, and I had to go. And I said 5 or 6 times, stop following me. And he stopped following me. I found a private spot, and when I looked back, he had made his way up the trail and was staring right at me.
Oh, wow. And this is just one of many times he's violated your privacy in the same way or similar ways or something different?
Different ways. He stole out of my piggy bank one time where I kept antique coins. He walked in on me when we said, this lock is broken, we're changing, do not touch this door. He walked in on me completely unclothed, and he didn't receive any consequences. But the last time when he was a peeping Tom, he had a stern talking to, which, I'm sorry, ladies, my husband is not stern with his kids. Like once every decade, maybe, I hear a stern voice. But anyway, I'm not saying he's a bad dad. I know in a divorced family it can be rough, and he doesn't want to upset his children. They've been through, it is traumatic. I get it. But he has to respect me. It has made our relationship suffer. I don't even, I want to sleep in the downstairs bedroom.
And Jean, what's the custody split like? How often is he with you?
50-50. And he gave the most insincere apology. I forced my husband to make him apologize. I said he needs to learn restitution, and his father needs to teach him to apologize when he's wrong.
Jean, do you suspect that your teenage stepson is using pornography?
Oh, he was. I busted him using it. If it weren't for me being in the house, he never would have got caught, because my husband never would have looked at his laptop, which he shouldn't even have, but his grandma bought for him.
And when you ask your husband about getting into family therapy, how does your husband respond?
He says we can if I can find an income sliding scale or something, because we can't afford, $100 an hour or more. We can't.
Well, there's all kinds of help out there with all different levels, Jean. My other question I want to ask is, how old is the boy now?
14.
Okay, because there's a bigger problem that's brewing. Yes, you have been violated, and that's not okay on a lot of levels. But I'm sure Jill and Alice are thinking the same thing I'm thinking. This is an alarm needs to be going off. Jill, what would you?
Right, the fact that his father isn't taking it as serious. I mean, it's in blended families, it is difficult. And Jean, you haven't had your own children. So a lot of times it's easy to, see how the other one should parent. But I think this is kind of above and beyond. These violations are serious. And for him to just get a slap on the wrist, it's a setup for more serious difficulties. The fact that he's crossing these lines, it's not just looking at porn. He's crossing into like criminal territory. And so I think
agree.
that is really serious. Well, first and foremost, I think that you need to feel safe in your home. Please repair the lock on your door. You need to lock things up.
Oh, that was while we were traveling. I have a combination lock on our bedroom door. He tries to spy and he tries to punch the buttons, and I tell him, don't touch that.
Right. Well, and I think, to say to your husband, the fact that he is fearful about disciplining his son too much, I think there needs to be some conversations about what's going on with this boy. Right. This is, blown into an addiction, but a lot of kids have issues as a result of divorce and families being broken. And as adults, we think, oh, they're handling it just fine and we're happy, so they're happy. Not true. We have to get behind the eyes of our kids and see where they're hurting, because this issue is screaming at your husband right now.
Well, and Jean, what does his mother say? Like, is his mom involved in this problem?
His mom will not speak to my husband, even regarding the kids. She makes me be the middleman all the time. I don't know what she says because I don't even know if she knows about it.
Well, she can read, though, sometimes even just nonverbal communication through an email or a text, just informing you with no emotion, but here's what's been happening. Thought you should know.
It is. She does know a little bit. I have informed her a little bit, and she knew that he was watching pornography, and what she said is, don't do that. You'll grow up to be a creep. And nothing was done until
He's already.
I purchased a parental app I've invested my money in things that could help him with his kids. And I'm so poor. Our finances are separate. He doesn't support me financially. And
gosh, Jean.
Which is fine. I get it. He can't afford to. That's okay. But
there's a bigger problem.
Yeah, because you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it leaves me feeling like maybe my own husband doesn't really respect me and wondering why he wanted to marry me.
Jean, the fact that he is saying he's willing to go to treatment, jump on that quickly. Mm-hmm. It's as if your family needs to get into the surgery operating room now and weeks ago. And so I want you to take that seriously. We have a network of counselors. Many of them offer sliding scale fees, so we can help you find someone who would fit just both your budget but also the circumstances. But I want you to be prepared to increase how you respond to this depending on whether or not your husband and the boy are willing to get into treatment quickly. Because if they are, that may help solve it. If they're not, if they said they would but they don't, I want you to start thinking and praying about, do you need to press charges if this happens again and warn the family? I'm going to take legal action if I have to, if we don't get the therapy help, because I need to be safe in my own home, and I'm not. And it's actually a loving intervention, because if you start intervening now, I mean, imagine this boy doing this at school, peeping at a teacher, peeping at another student. The legal
he'll end up in jail.
He will. And so you've got to take these actions now. Think about residential treatment. If outpatient treatment doesn't help, make changes quickly, because not only do we have to keep you safe, we have to keep other minor victims safe from what your stepson might do, because the signs are already there. He's already acting out.
Right. And I do have a lot of childhood trauma, so I have struggled with some emotional inflammation, but my husband will use that as ammunition to say, well, maybe respect is earned and you haven't earned it. And he doesn't elevate me to his kids. He doesn't elevate me. He does. Yeah.
Jean, hold on, and we'll get you connected with a therapist. This is a real critical situation, and we hear you. We're so grateful that we were able to talk to you today, and we'll all be praying for this family. Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Alice. Thanks, listeners.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.